Hey everyone, so today's video was actually highly requested. In one of my recent videos that I posted about the new babies that I had in the house, I did show this cage and how we kind of revamped it a little bit with putting in some extra ledges since the cage was used and the ledges that came with the cage were kind of nasty. So a lot of you were interested in knowing what we did, so I will just go ahead and go over that in this video. And this is the cage here. It's the Preview Hendrix Earth Tone Dusted Rose Rat and Chinchilla cage. And as you can see in the stock photo here, it did come with its own ramps and ledges, and these are the ones that got pretty nasty. They got really rusted, as you'll see here in the next clip. So here are the actual ledges that came with the cage, and as you can see on the side there, they are pretty rusted up, and the middle had a bunch of dings and dents, which really wasn't that bad, but the ramps were really bad and had straight metal flakes just coming off, so I definitely didn't want to put those back in the cage. So we did start off with measuring. I'm not going to go into detail with the actual measurements unless you really want me to. I can put it in the description since everyone's cage is going to be different and it just kind of depends on what you want. So here I am trying to set up this makeshift horse so I can use the power tool. And it was snowing outside, so it was cold and we were trying to hurry up. But if you see at the back where my legs are, those were the ramps and the ledges that are really bad. You can see how bad they were in that shot right there. So we basically just measured it out and then using the saw just went ahead and cut through the pieces that we needed. I didn't want this video to end up being really long, so I kind of just sped up the process. And you can see my husband trying to guide me throughout the whole thing. So if you are not familiar or comfortable with using power tools, then you might want to ask somebody to do this for you. Even if you get your own measurements, at most hardware stores, they will cut it for you. Just pick out the wood that you need and give them the measurements, and then they will end up being perfect. When you are picking out your wood, you want to keep in mind the animal that you're refurbishing the cage for. So chinchillas and rats really shouldn't be on pine unless it's kiln dried, and you can use aspen or poplar, which is really popular at the big box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff like that. You want to stay away from wood that's just called a generic name like white wood because usually it ends up just being pine and it hasn't necessarily been kiln dried. So we ended up making two different kinds of ledges, and this is the hardware that you're going to need. We made the regular like chinchilla ledge. It's just a little piece of wood that hangs on the side of the cage, and then we also made full ledges that go from one side of the cage all the way to the next, and this is where you're going to need the L brackets, which are here. So besides the power tool that is the saw, you're also going to need a drill so you can drill the holes inside the wood. So the first ledge is just like a typical chinchilla ledge, and you can go ahead and measure the spots where you want to put the drill holes, keeping the holes equal so they are stable when it's attached to the cage, and then just taking a power drill and pre-drilling your holes. Then you just want to screw in the hanger bolts into the pre-drilled holes, and we use these little nuts to help put the bolts inside of the hole. So when you're finished, it should look like that with both of the hanger rod bolts inside of the wood. And when it's made like this, it's easily attached to the cage with flat washers and wing nuts. The next ledges are the ones that go the full length of the cage from the front to the back, and we have two of these, and you just go ahead and pre-drill the holes, and then you're going to screw in the L-shaped brackets. So when you're going to attach it to the cage, this thumb screw here goes into one side of the L-shaped bracket. You put the washer on and then another wing nut. And the bars of the cage will go in between there like that. Someone had also given me the great idea to cover the wood in contact paper. This makes cleanup really easy, and I can just wipe down the ledges since it's kind of slippy with the contact paper. It also will save your wood from becoming completely soaked with urine since the rats do like to pee on the wood. This whole roll was on sale for like $2 because it's kind of not really the nicest pattern. So I just went ahead and wrapped all of the wood in the contact paper, and this is what it now looks like. I have two of the ledges, the large ledges there. That thing in the middle is actually a swing that I got from Adorkable Design Pets that was in my last haul. And then I just have these small little chinchilla ledges back there, and then here's just an example of what the contact paper looks like, and here are the little ledges. Keep in mind, this cage is not designed for an elderly rat that's having a hard time getting around. If you do have an older rat, I would suggest making some ramps for them, since climbing can be pretty difficult, especially for males when they get a little older. But this cage currently has 3 boys in it that are young, and they have no problems getting around, and they love jumping and using the ledges. And so far, everything's worked out well. As you can see, at the top of the water bottle is where the L-shaped brackets are attached to the cage. And it's like that on both sides, and the little blue lava ledge there by the water bottle is also a great example to show you how the smaller ledges are attached to the cage as well. So redesigning the cage like this would be great for chinchillas as well. I do think it's kind of a small cage for 2 chinchillas, but maybe one could live in here just fine if you're letting them out to play. But the rats seem to like it, and I can do a full review of this cage if you like, since I've now had it for a month and a half and I feel like I can give an honest review. So if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and comment below, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.